I'll work on it. Um, is it possible to design video games to specifically target a skill? Can it use to teach delayed gratification? That's a pretty good question. Yes, it is possible to design video games to specific target skill. I did this in grad school. I uh, I don't know how much to say on video. Yeah, I put a lot of work and did a lot of design work and stuff. And apparently, if you're a grad student, they can take all of it from you, and they can patent it without your name. And yeah, even if nobody else understands how it works except you, they still do that. So yeah, I did this, and there was some companies that spun off of that. Um, it's kind of the same concept as like exercise or anything. If you wanted to, like, I don't know, like, work on your leg muscles or something, and you do compound lifts, or you work on your biceps. I mean, you can target these things by just practicing them, and you'll get better. Um, and then the key is to now do it in a way that's engaging, that you'll not get bored, because a lot of if you what people did early on is just take cognitive tasks which are really boring, and they just practice them over and over. Uh, but we actually in grad school I was working with game designers from LucasArts and Microsoft, and that was really cool to work with game designers because they have like intuitive ways to think about this stuff. They've really worked on this stuff for a while. Um, so there's a lot of ways they think about human reward and human engagement. And I could talk about that. I've become a sort of honorary game designer, I guess, by working with them. And I worked with them at some companies I worked at too. Like I was embedded on the game design team, which sounds way cooler than it is, um, but it is possible to design video games specifically to target a skill. Um, the the problem is, like, so very famous. There was one study where they try to increase old people's useful field of vision. I actually didn't do much work on useful field of vision, but it's the idea of perceiving, having better perception. There's a task, um, and it's like a detection task. You have a field of things, and they're popping up, and you can like practice that, and that is correlated with their ability to actually drive in real life, like their car accidents and stuff. There's been a few papers. It's really hard to get any of these cognitive skills to show that they correlate with anything in real life. Like a lot of times with like ADHD treatments, you bring them in, their tasks, like their reaction times will get better, in the way you want them to get better. But then the patient's self-report, or the parent self-report, or the teacher self-report of how they're doing doesn't change, or vice versa. They say they're doing better, but there's no change on their. So it's kind of like a measuring problem we have on this stuff. Um, so you can target a skill, is my point, but it can also just not mean anything. Like you can, like very famously, there was this problem last decade where they were doing all this working memory training. This professor at UC Irvine, she did this work in her postdoc, and she got a professor position from it, where she had people practice working memory tasks, which are these brutal like end back tasks. It doesn't matter. They're just not fun. They challenge your working memory. And she claimed that people increased their IQ points, their IQ by a few points. And IQ, famously is kind of hard to move. And then there was, she got a professor position, and then afterwards there was some failed to reproduce on that. And now there's more work showing that maybe it's certain populations can benefit and some can't. I don't know. But the point is, people try to attack certain skills, and then whether or not it actually, it's like what, like if you're training a coaching an athlete, does it really matter if you have them like maybe do dumbbell curls? That seems obvious. that might not help. But maybe like compound lifts, it might help. Maybe it doesn't. You know, maybe they need to stay lean and light and flexible if they're like a fighter. Maybe I don't know. You know, maybe there's no transfer at all. Maybe it makes them worse. So it's kind of like that. Can it be used to teach delayed gratification? I mean, in theory, yeah. I'm trying to think of an example that already exists. I mean, I guess a lot of video games kind of have delayed gratification. You know, like puzzle games and stuff like that. I don't know if you have a specific thought, but yeah, I mean, in theory, totally.